Alright guys, I get the lights off in my room because it is a dark day. It's not because I can't find the remote to the lights to turn them on. It's because if we go to cryptobubbles.net, you can see nothing but red. Look at Bonk down 19%, Whiff down 36%, Notcoin down 22%, Floki, all of them looking pretty sad. A little green down here for Tron. You can see that's up a whopping 1.7% on the week, so congrats to everyone who is holding that Tron. But to everyone else, it doesn't really matter where you go inside of crypto at the moment. It seems to be mostly all downward action. But that is why I want to make this video, because the big brains, Crypto God John, Alex Becker, Elio Trades, House of Crypto, they're all saying that we are in a very critical point in the market. And I've got some data to actually back that up. This post here by Crypto Albania said, altcoin season is inevitable, and all you need to make your first million is learn to identify depression and shakeout stages. And apparently, we right now are in what's known as the best time to buy the shakeout phase. I actually came across this graph in a House of Crypto video, and it shows the last 2021 bull run, how they had a depression, how Bitcoin price, they basically use Bitcoin price as the proxy for all the other altcoins, because the altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin price action. They haven't separated from it yet. And for the last 12 years, that's really what's happened. So we're going to assume that's going to be continuing to happen. So Bitcoin trended to the right, the hope went up, and then the shakeout came, which is like just basically deleting all the hope, getting rid of all the paper hands, and then the massive bull cycle came after that in 2021, which we all probably remember pretty well. Then, of course, it absolutely dived off the cliff because most of stuff is vaporware, Ponzi scams, all narrative driven, not much fundamentals, especially in 2021. So it dropped basically down into another depression. This year would have started the hope cycle because Bitcoin went from about $19,000 up to $74,000. Now it is trended slowly down and to the right, and we could keep going. It says we are here. We could also be up here. This could go down to $40,000. You don't know how far the shakeout is going to go. But if you believe and subscribe to this sort of model, you know that the massive bull run is coming. And this bull run apparently rumored, thanks to the ETFs and thanks to the crazy amounts of inflation that all these countries are printing, is going to be the biggest one that you've ever seen. Now, Crypto God John had a very refreshing post talking about Fetch AI. This is one of the blue chips in the AI space. They're currently valued at a fully diluted market cap of $3.6 billion, circulating $1.1 billion. You can see they've had this pullback, which basically the whole market has had, as it's gone down and to the right from over $3.30 down to $1.40, which is a large amount of loss for an altcoin portfolio. But Crypto God John, who has turned $3,000 into millions of dollars, and honestly might be the #1 guy that I would follow in these markets because he's had some pretty impeccable calls, has put this into perspective for it in this tweet. He said, since FET, which is Fetch AI, began trading in March 2019, the price has increased over 49,000%. Since bottoming out in December 2022, it's increased 6,500%. But during these times, have a look at the pullbacks that it actually faced. A 98% pullback, an 81% pullback, an 82% pullback, a 95% pullback, and a 75% pullback, which he's plotted on this graph for us. You can see this first one down here at the all-time low was almost a 99% pullback. And obviously, most people would have thought they lost all of their money. If you think that your 40% pullback is huge, imagine doing a 99% pullback. You can see that 82% pullback looks small here, but it's actually 82%. That's turning 100 grand into 18 grand. But if you had bought at this all-time low, you would have a 49,000% return on your investment. John goes on to say, this is when you need to start planting seeds if you haven't been already. Bitcoin trading above 100K is only a matter of time, in his opinion. With the election coming and crypto being such a strong narrative for both parties and lingering rate cuts and strong BTC ETF inflows, the trajectory is way higher for this market. I have a strong feeling when Bitcoin eventually breaks out to new all-time highs and starts to trade above 100K, it will be plastered all over social media and news outlets, and that's when the mainstream will come and buy our bags at overpriced prices. Now, if you're wondering what's taking so long, have a look at this post by Wrecked Fencer on Twitter. He said, altcoins hit their peak 547 days after each halving. Do you know how long ago this halving was? 66 days, which means we've still got 480 days until the average. If you go on history, you can see the first halving, second halving, third halving down here on the graph. 547 days later on average was the peak of the cycle, which we don't really care too much about the peak of the cycle for buying. That's the time for selling. So we want to sell our bags in about 547 days, or now 480 days. But the next 480 days is the time that apparently life-changing returns are going to be happening. And if you want to go a little bit deeper and feel a little bit better on why it hasn't popped off just yet, let's have a closer look into the last cycle's post-halving. So Quinton said, after the Bitcoin halving in 2020, Bitcoin ranged 150 days in a boring price range between 9 grand and 11 grand. We're currently 60 days after the halving and people are deeply depressed about the price action. Every cycle again. Now let's blow up this graph and see what he's talking about. So in 2020, you've got this blue stroke right here. And so you can see it's plotted on this blue line, the price action of Bitcoin, and it's plotted against the current price here. And the days are along the bottom. So you can see if we go to 150 days on the blue line here, it basically went to the right for almost half a year before parabolically skyrocketing. Now let's have a look at the green one. That's the 2016 halving. Again, it dipped down and basically was at a very similar stage 150 days after halving. Remember, we're only 66 days after halving right now. The only one that didn't do that, which absolutely skyrocketed about 50 days after the halving, which remember that's probably precisely where we are, was the 2012 bull run. Now the modern investor has actually put an interesting comment down here, which represents what I feel as well. He said last cycle was literally a pandemic. Fear made sense, people lost their jobs and had no income. Being stuck in a boring range made sense as the world imploded. This cycle has 9 companies buying 1 million BTC through the ETFs in 4 months. One of these is not like the other, inferring that this cycle is going to be massive because of those ETF approvals and because of inflation absolutely ruining people's finances and spending, and they basically can't even afford rent and a car anymore. So something is going to break, and it's going to break in a strong way. And if we're patient and we subscribe to this model, which the big brains, Becca, Ilio Trades, House of Crypto, Crypto God John, they're all saying that this is the shakeout period where we must focus on our businesses. We must make passive income to be able to put into this mega cycle that is going to be coming very soon. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm curious to read them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.